Jesus going to the grave was not only something that happened to him, it was a map. The death, the burial, the resurrection, that is not just a story to believe in from far away. It's something we go through inwardly. You don't physically die, but the version of you that was built out of fear, shame, survival, self-hatred, comparison, that part has to go. That's what it means to die to yourself. But who are you dying to? Because there's more than one version of you in there. There's the ego, the wounded self, the version of you that learned how to survive by shrinking, performing, hiding, judging, comparing, and abandoning yourself. And then there's your soul. And I don't believe you're here to destroy yourself. I believe you're here to release what was never truly you. My own resurrection didn't look spiritual at first. It looked like destruction. There was a period in my life where I was completely breaking down. I would look in the mirror and say, I hate you. I hate you, Rebecca. And I meant it. I hated myself. I hated what I saw, how I felt. And I couldn't understand why life felt so heavy, why people seemed to reject me, why I felt so disconnected. But I still had to get up. I still had to breathe. And I had to go to work, face people, move through life. And somewhere inside all of that, something started to shift. I realized that the voice screaming hatred at me was not my soul. That was the wounded version of me. That was the false self, in pain, in fear, and in survival. And when that version of me started to die, it felt like death. Because to the mind, to the identity, it was death. But on the other side of that, something else was there. I started to realize I'm not just Rebecca. I'm a soul having a human experience. I'm not just the story, the wounds, the role, the identity. I am something deeper. And once you touch that, even for a moment, you can't unknow it. The closest way I can describe it is that feeling when love is returned. When you say to someone, I love you, and you hear, I love you back. That warmth, that recognition, that knowing, even that's just a glimpse. Because the love of God is beyond anything we can fully explain. And when you start to come back into alignment with that, everything changes, even your body. I started noticing that my body was speaking to me long before my mind would admit the truth. For me, stomach pain was often unspoken truth, something I was afraid to say, something I wasn't processing, and something I was holding in. My body would say, this doesn't belong, this isn't aligned, this needs to be released. And I realized the body isn't attacking you, it's communicating. We do it physically. If you consume something your body can't handle, it rejects it. And we do it emotionally too. We take in beliefs that aren't true. We suppress what we feel and we ignore what we know. And eventually something in us starts to hurt. And that pain is trying to show us something, teaching. One of the clearest examples of this in my life was my eyesight. My vision was getting worse to the point where I was going to need glasses for everything. And I just stopped. I asked myself, what if I actually listened instead of just accepting that fact? So I started sitting in meditation and I would ask my eyes, what do you need? What are you trying to tell me? Why can't you see clearly? And I started making changes. I began drinking pure carrot juices, other juices, things that nourish the body at a real level. But more importantly, I changed how I saw myself. Because what I realized was my outer vision was reflecting my inner vision. When I looked out at the world, all I saw was everyone else is better than me, prettier, more wanted. That's what I believed. So that's what I saw. So I started changing that. Every day I would look in the mirror and say, I am in perfect health. Thank you for my healing. At first it felt like a lie. And then it started to feel possible. And then all of a sudden it was real. And over time, my vision improved. Not in some dramatic overnight woo-woo way, but enough that it changed my daily life. I don't have to wear glasses anymore. And about 6 months later, I had 2 different doctors confirm my eyesight had improved. And I have it documented. That was a moment for me because it showed me that this wasn't just in my head. Inner sight changes outer sight, and that applies to everything. Resurrection works the same way. You don't rise by becoming someone else. You rise by releasing what wasn't true about you. That's why I say Jesus, Yeshua, wasn't just teaching with words. He was showing the way through his life. The grave is the surrender of the false self. The resurrection is the return of the true one. And when you begin to understand that, life shifts out of constant striving and into presence. This moment right here is where your life is. Not 10 years from now, not when everything is perfect, right here. You can still plan. I still make lists. You can still build. You can still create. But you stop abandoning yourself in the process. If you want to heal, if you want peace, start telling yourself the truth. If you want to come back to life, have compassion for the version of you that was hurting and let go of the identity that was built in fear. You are not alone. You were never alone. And you are not just the human. You are the soul having a human experience. And resurrection is not just something to believe in. It's something to live.